So I'm actually going to give you, I like to make these plans right on index cards.
Okay.
They're kind of a nice size. And you can grab any choice of pen here.
Okay.
So it's a nice size because you can
Mm-hmm.
kind of keep it with you, either put it in a wallet, purse, pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Keep
This
it.
is good. I like having notes and having
Right?
everything written out there.
Yeah, it's a perfect size, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards, after we're done here, we can actually laminate it too if you want. That
Okay.
way, I know I spill on my notes all the time,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we could do that.
Sounds good.
So the first thing I want to put on this plan is just kind of some signs that things aren't going as well as you want them to be, or that things
Mhm.
are going to start kind of getting out of control, or
Mhm.
kind of that overwhelmed feeling that you were talking
Mhm.
about. Does anything stick out in your mind?
I mean, definitely when my mind is racing, like when I woke up that morning,
Mhm.
like it didn't feel like I just had woken up from a nice sleep. It felt like I just popped right back into when I walked out of the office Friday, so like that.
Mm-hmm. So that mind racing, are there any certain thoughts that or themes that stick out that, my mind's racing, but I'm really thinking about?
Mhm. Yeah, a lot of time. Well, sometimes it's like replaying like the nasty things that
Mhm.
that this coworker says and like how I responded and then what am I gonna do the next time? So kind of those scenes play over in the.
Yeah, and so almost that kind of thought of I'm stuck. That-
Yeah, and then the next thought is like I'm stuck and
Yeah.
I'm trapped there.
Because even if the scenes change, it's kind of that, ooh, I'm stuck and I can't get
Mhm.
out. Okay. Why don't we write down I'm stuck as kind of a thought that when you're having that thought, it's a warning sign that, things maybe aren't going on the right path or the path we want them to go on.
Okay.
Are there any other kind of warning signs that come to your mind?
Kind of like when my body's racing too, like the pacing around.
Yeah.
And like I can't just sit and do one thing. That's never a good sign because normally I'm like a very focused person.
Yeah. So how do you want to phrase that for a plan?
Maybe like pacing and pacing.
Pacing.
That covers it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And being distractible
Okay.
or unfocused.
Unfocused.
Yeah.
So pacing and unfocused.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then I think you mentioned even with that you were saying your body. So
Yeah.
are there certain signs that really are like, oh man, I know?
Yeah, when my stomach is really like tight and like kind of hurts, and I can feel my heart rate go up.
Okay.
Or at least that's what it feels like.
Yeah, is the stomach ache different than a normal stomach ache?
Yeah, it feels like the anxiety stomach ache. I don't know.
Okay, so maybe we can write down anxiety stomach ache, and then you said heart racing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like all like up here.
Kind of the tense in the shoulders.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it sounds like we have some pretty good warning signs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now the fun part, we get to say, well, what can we do that will help, with these? So I'm
Yeah.
not just going to have you look at warning signs and say, oh, okay, well, I know I'm not doing well.
Right.
But
Yeah.
what are some things that you've done in the past that have helped with kind of that anxiety? And even those thoughts of like, oh, things that, I need to end it, or I need to take sleeping pills.
I mean, sometimes like doing like what I tried that day
Mhm.
works, like doing a chore and like putting on a podcast or the radio or something.
Yeah, so I think definitely the podcast is like a great one. I saw
Mhm.
you light up when you talked about the
Mhm.
podcast. So, and you said it was This American Life?
Yeah, that's one of them. that I
Okay.
like, yeah.
So do you want to write down podcasts? And
Sure.
maybe just so that we have a specific one, we can put, for an
Mhm.
example, This American Life.
Okay. It only worked for like the little while it was on though.
How long do you think it worked?
Well, I mean, they usually run about, I think, like an hour, 45 minutes. So pretty much the whole time it was on.
Okay, so about 45 minutes?
Yeah.
So why don't we put that, just 45 minutes, so that you can try it.
Okay.
And it seems like it worked that long.
Yeah.
So you can kind of go through it.
Okay.
And you said that there were a couple other things that you did.
Yeah, when I was getting getting the chores done sometimes helped a little bit. I think it would have helped if I had like gone outside. That's another warning sign actually, when I don't leave, like when I just stay in my house. That's
Okay.
never good.
So let's add that to the warning signs.
Okay.
So not leaving the house.
Yeah.
And you said going outside. What do you like to do outside?
I'll sometimes just like to walk to the grocery store, walk to do my errands. Sometimes if it's not too cold, like doing a hike or something.
Okay. So why don't we say take a walk,
Mhm.
and we can put those examples actually to the grocery store or even a hike, you know, depending on weather,
Yeah.
depending on how much energy you have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Were there any other things that you had in mind?
I don't think so.
That's what I was going to say. Those are some pretty good ones. And I actually want to go back and how long would you typically go for a walk or a hike? How long does that take?
I mean, hikes can take like hours.
Yeah.
But walk, like normally if I do it for errands, they'll usually take like an hour if I go to the grocery store and stuff. But sometimes even I can just go around the block.
Okay, so do we want to put, how long does it take you to go around the block?
That'd just be like 10 minutes.
All right. Do you want to put 10 minutes? So we have a minimum of 10 minutes.
Okay.
That way if you're kind of feeling overwhelmed, you just want to take a quick walk around the block.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right, so the next part of the plan that I want to talk about are just kind of things that really make you happy, or kind of reasons for living. So when you're having those negative thoughts, I mean, I know you talked about your friend, but are there other specific things that kind of, just kind of get you happy when you think about in your life?
I guess, yeah, my friend is a big one, or like my friends in general, they're like the kind of the best things in my life, and I have some good ones.
Do you have any specific memories of your friends?
Let's see, I went on a trip to a ski trip with them actually last year.
Where to?
They actually came out here.
Nice.
They went up to Park City and visited, and yeah, that was really fun because it was a couple of them from different places who all came here.
Awesome. Well, I think that'd be a great one to write down because even as you were talking about that, when getting everyone here and going up to Park City, I can kind of see you smiling and remembering that.
Yeah, that's good when I can connect with them.
So why don't we write that one down?
Okay.
Are there any other things that kind of come to mind that you're thinking?
I mean, I do some volunteer work at the animal shelter.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's another thing too. I guess I could maybe sometimes do for distraction, but I really enjoy that when I'm there helping out.
Dogs, cats?
Mainly cats.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Any particular cats that you like there?
Well, they're always changing, but
That's true.
and it was kitten season before, so I was helping out a lot with the kittens, which is like, you can't not be smile when you're around them.
Oh yeah. And they always have such funny personalities, or interesting personalities.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we have a 2-for-1 there. So we can put that down right where you're at, the reasons for living, kind of the working at the shelter. But it sounds like you said you can also maybe do that.
Yeah, you can like drop in some, not all the days, but like some days they have drop-ins, so I could go there probably.
Great. So the next part I want to talk about is just people who you could call or maybe text, kind of that are in your life, like you talked about your friend already, who you could kind of reach out to when you're having this, I'm overwhelmed, I'm having some of these maybe thoughts of hurting myself, or it needs to end. Are there any people that you could reach out to?
I mean, it's hard because I don't want to, like, my friends have a lot of stuff going on themselves, so I really don't want to bring them down with all of this.
No, I think that's totally legit to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to necessarily call these people and say, oh, I'm having thoughts of hurting myself, or I'm having a terrible day. It could just be calling to check in and see how they're doing. Because I know you even said, when you talked to your friend, she had a lot going on, but it kind of took your mind off things and kind of reset a little bit.
That is true. Yeah, it is helpful to hear other people's stuff sometimes. Puts your stuff in perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can call her, Mandy.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, some of the other people who came out to visit, we text more than we call sometimes, but yeah, I can text them.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to have you do is you can write down Mandy.
Okay.
What I like to have on these plans is actually have you write down Mandy's number.
Okay.
Because I know it's hard to remember, and if you don't have it now, you can get it out of your phone.
I can look at my phone then.
Before you leave.
Okay.
And then you said a couple of the other friends that came to visit you. You can text them.
Yeah, Jessica and Sam.
Yeah. Okay. So we can have Jessica and Sam. And again, these are people that you can just reach out to, kind of check in and see how their day is going. Kind of, just kind of reach out, get back in touch, because it's always fun to hear what's going on.
Yeah.
All right, and so the last part I like to have on this plan is just kind of who you can reach out for kind of professional help. So you've already done that by calling me and setting up this appointment, so that's great. So we're gonna put my office number on there, and so you can just call David or call Dr. Rozek.
Okay.
And just like you did when you called, I'm not always available. Just like we're meeting now, right? So I don't take phone calls in the middle of meeting with people. But you can leave me a voicemail. And how I like to do it, if you don't get our secretary, leaving a voicemail, you can leave your first and last name first.
Okay.
So name first.
Okay.
And I like to write this right on the plan.
Okay. I'll write this down.
Because when things are going spiraling out of control, if you call and you leave a long message about what's going on, I may miss your name, or our secretary may not, and it makes it harder for me to get back to you.
Okay.
And I get back to phone messages within 24 hours.
Okay.
So I'll get back to you within a business day.
Okay.
The other kind of phone number I like to put on here is the National Crisis Line. Have you ever used that before or heard of it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So it's really nice because there's a national line that's 24/7, and you can call them and just kind of talk to them, tell them what's going on, and they're there to listen and to help you.
Okay.
So I can give you the number.
Okay.
The number is 1-800 273 TALK. TALK.
Okay.
And so if that's something that, well, first let me see, would you be willing to call that number if things were?
Maybe. I mean, it'd be a little weird to just call a stranger. But I don't know, I guess.
Yeah, so one thing that we can do is actually kind of when we're done with this whole plan, maybe we can call them together so I can show you what it's like. They also text and instant message. So.
Okay, nice.
So you have 3 ways, right? So we can maybe go through that just so you can kind of see what that looks like. I call them with people all the time just so that it becomes less weird to kind of call them with the number.
That sounds good.
Cool. And then the last step I like to have on all of these plans is if things are getting out of control, you're having more of those thoughts, taking some sleeping pills, or I just need to end it, and you're feeling like you've gotten through the whole plan, is calling 911 or presenting to the hospital so that we can make sure you're safe.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I really hope it doesn't get to that point. That's why I came here, so I don't get to that point ever. But I mean, I guess again, that's why it's there. Yeah.
Like I said, it's kind of we put it at the very bottom of the plan because you have all of these other things that you can do And then if none of those are working, you have it again right in front of you when you're kind of feeling overwhelmed.
Okay.
So now I just kind of want to kind of get your takeaway from this plan. How would you use this plan?
I mean, I think I'll probably make a couple copies of it and have it in different places. And I think I'll also probably think of more things to put in terms of things to do, because that's true. I think on that day, like I could think of things like the podcast and like doing chores, but I couldn't think of all these other things that we talked about, and there's even more I'm thinking of now.
Yeah.
So I think that part will be really helpful, especially. Yeah, and I guess I'll have to just kind of see how it works out.
Yeah. So let's say, things are, next weekend, things are kind of the same as before. How would you use this?
I guess I would, well, now that we've talked about it, I think I would have maybe a sense a little earlier on that I needed to do something different. And then I'd probably, try to do one of these things, especially getting out of the house. I think that's a big one. And then now I've met you and I have this, so that's always good to know that I could call, leave a message here too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's kind of cool because if you're feeling that way, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're kind of stuck in the rut, and even having some of those, I wish, I want to hurt myself or kind of end this, you can follow right through the whole plan. So instead of, like you said, you're probably going to be aware of it earlier now. It sounds like you're going to have a couple of copies of these plans around.
Yeah, that's all.
And so then you can kind of just go right through everything on the list that you have there. So if a walk doesn't work, you can listen to a podcast. And if a podcast doesn't work, you can, even move on to thinking about the ski trip in Park City, and kind of go, and the shelter, the memories with all the kittens, especially coming off kitten season.
Yeah.
And then if that's not working, you can reach out to your friends, right? And if that doesn't work, you can call me, or even call the crisis line.
Okay.
And then present to a hospital if it continues to get worse, just to kind of make sure, like I said, you're safe. So yeah, I think that's a really good plan. The other question I like to ask, on a 0 to 10 scale, how likely are you to use this?
I think pretty likely. I would say, probably like a 7.
Okay, great. So I think that's a great level to be at. The other thing I wanted to highlight that you said earlier, because you're stealing some of my thunder, which is great, is that as we go through some of our treatment, or even let's say you move and you go see a different therapist, you can bring this plan and you can add to it. If something doesn't work, you can take it off. And so anything you learn kind of in our treatment, we can add right to your plan. So it's all right there for you.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that's a great idea, for you.
Yeah, I'm already thinking of more things.
Perfect. All right, well, so I think this will be a great plan for you to have in place. And like I said, we'll work on kind of tweaking it as we go.
Okay.
And we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right.